Hello and welcome to an experiment, really. Feedback video for your mock paper. This is called Screencast-O-Matic, and the idea is that instead of you just reading through the mark schemes and the exam reports with my annotations and monotone voice, it'll actually help you think deeper about those invaluable learning tools and help you get a lot more out of the feedback. So first time I've actually used this, so let's see if it actually works. So here we have the exam report. And valuable learning tool. I would encourage you to read as many of these as you can. In reality, they really help you focus and refine your exam technique, because overall subject knowledge is actually okay. Needs to be a bit stronger for some of you guys, but overall it's quite decent. The main thing is letting people down and enabling you to underperform is your exam technique. So as I said in the feedback lesson, um, this introduction is very typical to you guys as well. Okay, as you can see here, it says people are benefiting from looking at exam reports. Again, you guys got to be doing that. Wider reading, we look at lots of examples, keep in touch with current affairs, and again, too many people relying on generic answers. Okay, number one thing we all have to improve upon is context. So what is context? It's using specific information from the case study or a real life example, something that makes your point unique. Okay, if the question refers about India, you've got to bring in points about India. You can't just write a textbook response which could be applied to any country in the world. Okay, so again, access exam reports to help you realize what that is. Okay. Also, not hitting command words. People got confused between 8-mark analyze, 8-mark assess. We shouldn't be doing that at this stage. And a couple of you guys are still defining. Okay, don't get confused between your AS structure and your A2 structure, please. Okay, and the classic one of not focusing on the question set. Okay, FASTL is letters or SAT-ELF. Structure, assessment level, no need to define at A2. Explain, link, context, and focus on the question asked. So always glance up at the question and say, right, have I kept on the focus here? Plan your AO4s to help people plan and code. A couple of you guys, your plans are more detailed. There's more writing in your plans than your actual answers. So you need to plan and code at the end of the day and manage your time. Look through your exam report, please. You see question 1. They show you some good examples, some good answers, bad answers. Likewise for question 2, if you're able to read that writing. Question 3, and so on and so forth. Okay, excellent learning tool. It's all on the Dropbox under the folder official mock feedback. Again, we get you guys to do your mocks so you make your mistakes now, but the only way you'll learn from your mistakes now is if you access these documents and make the most of it. Okay, so a little summary. Again, assess and evaluate. You should know your structure for that, your AO4. Look at both sides of the story. If you're running low on time, instead of giving 3 versus 3, give me 2 versus 2 or even 1 versus 1. Do it well, you'll get into level 4. Add a conclusion to your AO4s. Again, for 8, 9, 10 mark AO4, it has to be a sentence, very, very brief. For 12 or 15 mark, though, it has to be longer, has to be a paragraph. Look at the short versus the long term. Okay, write concisely, as in get to the point. No need to waffle. Some of you guys are quite wordy. You might say another benefit to the UK businesses of the Chinese economy growing is, when all you really need to do is say another benefit is and get stuck in. Okay, so that'll help with your timing as well in regards to that. So don't spend too long on the question. You guys should know 40 minutes section A, 50 minutes section B. Use the language of the subject. So use your key terms. Overall, that's something that could have been done a lot better. Trade creation, trade diversion, income elasticity. You can use all your terms from last year as well. It's your opportunity here to show off, really. So use your key terms. Get that glossary up on the wall. Use examples. Context is a must. And read the question carefully. Okay. Some of you guys got in the wrong focus. You're looking at things on a business level when it should have been on a governmental, national level. You got to realize the focus. Interact with your question, underline, circle, do what you need to do. Make sure you have the correct focus. Okay. So that's the examiner's report. Oh, let's see. I don't really want to show you my private email. So how do I avoid that potential nightmare? Here we are, annotated mark schemes. This is also in the Dropbox. Question 1, quite well done, but quite a lot of people lost marks for linking. Okay, it was why India, reasons why India originally introduced import tariffs. You should know the Indian economy, independence in 1949, I think. Or 1947, and they took the protectionist stance. Why did they take that stance? They're trying to protect their infant industries and allow them to grow and flourish. That's why they're such a sustainable economy now. Also, you could go along the angle of and have these tariffs to raise tax revenue because they're a developing country. They need that revenue to invest in their infrastructure and their merit goods. Okay, that could be your unique contextual angle in there. So lots of people thought of potential points, but they just simply didn't add in the context. So quite a lot of people got 4 out of 6 very easily. It could have been 6 out of 6. Again, you see at the top here, no context in your analyzed questions. You're right at the bottom there, and no context in your AO4 questions. You're right at the bottom there as well. Context is essential. And question 2, analyze 2 ways in which the creation of the might affect UK businesses. So again, this here potentially new trading block. So again, this is something that we haven't really looked at in class. It's just a rumor. Could come to fruition. It could not. Be a massive trading block, 3 billion people, and it will really rise up against the likes of the EU or the likes of the North American Trading Association as well. Okay, so analyze 2 ways. 8 mark. Some people thought this was an evaluation question. Okay, they saw the 8 marks and thought, oh, that's what I need to do. 2 versus 2 with a brief conclusion. Okay, command word analyze AO3. It's SLEE, SLEE, as you can see there. Okay, 2 key terms you could have used was trade creation, to create trade within that group, which would be a potential opportunity possibly for UK businesses, or you could go down the trade diversion route, where it's going to divert trade from outside that group, a bit like the EU and the steel wall around the EU that I often talk about. Okay, so that could be a potential threat to UK businesses. So you need 2 different reasons, 2 opportunities or 2 threats, or 1 opportunity, 1 threat. Again, there's good and the bad here for the UK businesses. That's what AO3 is all about. Okay, looking at reasons and consequences, linking them to the context there. Your 3 billion, your 40%. You put in stats is a very easy way to be contextual, and then explaining times 2. That's the difference between an 8 mark and a 6 marker. Question 3, assess the benefits of increasing specialization for a country such as Australia. This one was quite poorly done, really. Okay, specialization, you should have realized that's 3.3.3, comparative advantage. It's on a country-to-country level. That's what it's all about. Okay, so 2 benefits of Australia specializing in the automotive industry is what they talked about, or their mining industry in the case study. And developing those points in regards to efficiency, economies of scale, better GDP, economic growth. It's the theory of comparative advantage, and then flipping those points and saying, well, maybe on the other hand, you might be too specialized. There might be an over-reliance. There's a risk of that. What happens if there's a collapse in mining, a collapse in car industry? Being contextual and taking that point, explaining it. So 2 disagreeing points, and then an overall little conclusion again for 8, 9, 10 markers, a sentence saying, well, I think there's actually more benefits of this comparative advantage of Australia going down. It's a sign of modern economics. Every country's at it, and especially of emerging trading blocks, something along those lines. Again, not GCSE style where you just say, I think the pros outweigh the cons, but getting off the fence, but being brief as well. Okay. Question 4, 12 marker, impact of joining the RCEP will have in India's business. So again, this is on a business level. Some people took this to a governmental level, started talking about GDP, etc., etc. You got to look at it on a business level and think about 2 potential opportunities for this business here. of India joining this trading bloc. Okay, so easier access to markets, to sourcing materials. They could overall grow as a business, take advantage of economic growth opportunities for jobs as well. In regards to technology transfer, bringing it back to the focus of the question on the business level, FDI could be attracted to this trading bloc as well, just like Nissan or Toyota coming to set up in Sunderland. There could be opportunities for Indian businesses to attract this FDI and enable them to have opportunities, and then flipping it, saying, however, thinking of free disagreeing points, your 12 markers, free versus free, isn't it? Okay. Domestic industries might be threatened. Competition is a bad thing. It could lead to unemployment in some sectors as a result, and therefore less disposable incomes, bringing it back to the Indian businesses, saying that this is going to affect them. Okay. You could also mention the common external tariff, the classic feature of any trading bloc, being a potential obstacle. If India sources a lot of stuff from outside of this RCEP and now they're locked in this trading bloc, that means that the tariffs is going to get slapped onto such a thing and it's going to be made more expensive. So taking your point, adding in the context and explaining it fully, saying it's more expensive, therefore they'd have to raise their prices and that could affect their international competitiveness. And then lastly, as you see here, several strands for the top level, free versus free, convincing conclusion. It's the cherry on top. Okay, lots of you guys were maybe just giving 2 versus 2 or 1 versus 1 and then concluding. Only conclude if you've given the full points. Okay, conclusion will earn you your full marks. Okay, you're much better giving as many points as you can in regards to free versus free rather than giving 1 versus 1 in conclusion. Effectively, your conclusion is a waste of time there. If you only give 1 versus 1, you're only in the low level there. Okay, 8 to 9 marks. Okay, at the high level, 10 to 12 is 2 versus 2. At the lower end, and then free versus free plus conclusion will get you your 12 marks. Please note, it says here, evaluation but no context, you'll only get a half mark, so about 7 if you're lucky. Okay, so that's section A, 40 minutes. Again, you guys have got to be strict with your timing. I do believe the exam started late for whatever reason. But if your exam starts on the day at 10:30, at 11:10, you move on to section B, irrespective of where you are. Okay, please do that. Okay, again, timing comes with practice. The more and more you practice, the better it will become. Print off a couple of section A's, give yourself 40 minutes, and realize the pace. Do them until you can get them done under 40 minutes. Okay, there's about 8 or 9 past papers on the EdXL website, so it's loads of practice there. Okay, and you guys should have the skills now to self-assess it, and I'm quite happy to have a look at them if you want. A general rule though, I want you to self-assess it first because there's so much you can learn from mark schemes and exam reports. Okay, and then the same for your section B's, 15 minutes. So first one here, 6 mark AO3. Again, your AO3s, you should be maximizing your marks here. AO4s are a bit more subjective, a bit more open to you losing marks. AO3s, a bit more black and white. You've got 2 valid reasons, you've linked them, and you've developed them fully. You'll get your 6 marks. So 2 reasons why the Dutch might be keen to attract foreign businesses. From a teacher's point of view, didn't give you all that much in the case study about the Netherlands, which is a bit disappointing. But you should know enough about the EU and the Eurozone. You should know that the Dutch use the Euro. Again, we've done that. We've looked at all of the 17 different countries that use the Euro and all the 28 countries in the EU. Bring that into your context, okay? So I might be keen to attract FDI, job creation, increased economic growth are the 2 most obvious points. Context was hard, but it wasn't impossible, okay? You could mention growing unemployment. That's a bit of a feature of the Eurozone. Economies are quite stagnant, low growth rates, post GFC 2008, something like that, and then explain your point fully. And then question 6, explain 2 reasons why an increasing number of new large companies are forecast to be based in emerging economies. The case study suggested in the future there's going to be a growing trend, again something you should be aware of. Again, if you look back at your spec, 3.3.1, why seek international markets, that's where all these reasons kind of come from. There's rising incomes. Whoops. Rising incomes, yep. Large trading blocks, less regulation, lower labour costs, saturated domestic market, any of those reasons, A to E, that you should have learnt off, you could have brought in here as well, added in your context.